listen for you. I'm going down to the water today. I'm going down 'cause it's whispering my way, and I don't know if she'll have much to say, but I'll listen, listen for you. Well, I'll listen, listen for you. Cry out for truth. I'm going down to the water today. I'm going down 'cause it's whispering my way, and I don't know if you'll have much to say, but I'll listen, listen for you. Well, I'll listen, and I'll wait for the day to call out to me, and I'll wait for your voice to come set me free, and I'll wait for the I'm going down to the water today. I'm going down 'cause it's whispering my way, and I don't know if she'll have much to say, but I'll listen, listen for you. Well, I'll listen, listen for you. I'm going down 'cause it's whispering my way, and I don't know if she'll have much to say, but I'll listen, listen for you. Well, I'll listen, listen for you. I'm going down to the water today. I'm going down 'cause it's whispering my way, and I don't know if you'll have much to say, but I'll listen, listen for you. Well, I'll listen. For the
morning. I'm the Reverend Tony Lorenzen, the minister at the Mattatuck Unitarian Universalist Society and the Unitarian Universalist Church in Meriden. We're very happy you decided to join us this morning for what is our annual in-gathering service. Being as this service is an online service, we have a special way to celebrate that today, which I'll tell you about in a moment. Being Unitarian Universalists, we begin our services by lighting the symbol of our faith, the flaming chalice. I invite you to join me in the words of the chalice lighting, which should appear on your screen. May this flame continue to invite us into fellowship, inspire our spirit, and ignite in us a passion for racial, economic, and environmental justice. This morning, because we are not gathered in person and we cannot bring water to share into a common vessel, which is the traditional Unitarian Universalist water ceremony, we will be doing something different. So I'm going to invite you to listen to the story, the history of the origins of the Unitarian Universalist water ceremony while we go on down to the river where we'll continue the service. See you soon. The original UU water ritual dates back to 1980 when Carolyn McDade and Lucille Shuck Longview created a worship service for the Women and Religion Continental Convocation of Unitarian Universalists. On the UUA website there's an article about this, and it says that McDade and Longview wanted to create a new ritual that, quote, spoke to our connectedness to one another, to the totality of life, and to our place on this planet. They included a new, inclusive symbol of women's spirituality, water. The service was held in Michigan, and it was called Coming Home Like Rivers to the Sea. McDade and Longview enacted their ritual in the liberating space of a semicircle around a large earthenware bowl, and they asked 8 different women, each coming from distant places, to bring water, and they did. Water from the Rio Grande and Assiniboine rivers, rainwater from Maryland, water from the Pacific and Atlantic Oceans, and others were poured into the bowl as each bearer described its significance. As the ritual is continued, says McDade, water deepens meaning for all of us, just as water deepens during its long, winding journey to the sea. They write of this original ritual, water is more than simply a metaphor. It is elemental and primary, calling forth feelings of awe and reverence. Acknowledging that the ocean is considered by many to be the place from which all life on our planet comes. It is the womb of life, and that amniotic waters surround each of us prenatally. We now realize that this worship service was for us a new story of creation. We choose water as our symbol of empowerment. As I returned to work from vacation a few weeks ago, I began thinking about how we would celebrate ingathering and water communion, or the water ceremony, seeing as we would not be together inside the church to pour water into a common vessel. And recently, I forget where I read it, but I read something about during the plague, the Black Death in the Middle Ages, the symbol of the Pietà, the symbol of Mary holding the dead body of the crucified Jesus, really skyrocketed in popularity. And it was because of the plague, people could not hold their loved ones while they were dying, and no one wanted to be around the dead bodies. And since no one could hold the people they loved, They thought in their Christian symbolism Mary held them. At least there was someone to hold them, like someone held Jesus. And it got me thinking, how can we hold each other that way? So I started thinking about the original water ceremony and how, yes, that people brought water from different places, but it wasn't the report on what we did over our summer break that was what was important to them. It was the water as a symbol of life, water as that life-giving essence. And as they poured the waters together, it was out of a sense of empowerment that they were the thing that gave life to each other. They were water for each other and needed to be. And I thought we could do the same thing here. As Carolyn McDade's song says, "Come drink deep of living water." Water is a symbol of life. In the Gospels, Jesus says, "Let those who are thirsty come to me. Out of the believer's heart will spring rivers of living water." And I began to think that that was how we would do our water community. We are living water to each other. We are the living water we pledge to each other. Our stories, our lives, we offer to each other this year as we pour the water of ourselves into the common container of our ingathering here. We, as a community, hold each other up. We are that life-giving essence. The community together is the water of life. And we need each other to get through this pandemic. There's lots of people having many different responses, as you will see. And this reminded me of Margaret Atwood's statement she made once, that there are 6 responses to a crisis. Margaret Atwood, in her book of essays called Payback, said that in general, people living through the Black Death had 6 responses. The reactions were: protect yourself, give up and party, help others, throw blame, bear witness, and just go about your life. She said these are the only 6 possible responses in a crisis if the crisis wasn't war, but fight and surrender, the 2 things you could add for a war, just might be subsets of helping others and giving up and party. I think I'm bouncing around myself between all of these, and any given day I could be doing any one of those 6. As I made the offer for people to check in and share with us the water of their life, I realized that some people were hesitant to do so because what they had to share wasn't upbeat or good or pleasant. And that's okay. We need to be able to say things that are difficult to each other. If we're honest and we feel like crud, if we're in a relationship with each other, if we're a church family, it's got to be okay for us to tell the other family members, we just feel like crud, we're not doing well. We feel like giving up. Now, there's a well-known internet meme about Eeyore from Winnie the Pooh that says that even though Eeyore is a downer or depressed or curmudgeonly, the other characters always include him in their adventures. And that may or may not be so, but it's a good point that we have to include each other even when one of us is down or not feeling well or not the life of the party. It's still okay. If you want to be around, be involved, we need you and we want you. And if there's anything we can do, even just being with you, we don't know that you need that unless you tell us. In any given day, in any given week, some of us will be helping others and trying to do some good things and make some progress in all the activism we're involved in. And others will just be surviving, getting through their life, or feeling like giving up. Then the next hour, the next day, the next week, it'll be reversed. The person who was helping others last week will be feeling like giving up this week, and the person who was feeling like giving up last week will be the person helping others. That's how we do it. That's how we get through this together. That's how, as a community together, our stories merge and combine, and we create living water. Over the years I've spent in ministry, one of the things I've officiated at, in addition to marriage ceremonies, is ceremonies of renewal of vows, where on their anniversary, married couples get together and renew their pledge of commitment to each other. Sometimes they do this after 5 years, sometimes after 20, sometimes they do it in good times, sometimes they do it in bad. And this is kind of like what we do with our ingathering every year. We recommit to the covenant of being church for each other, of being there for each other, of committing to our values together. And so, even though we cannot get together and share liquid H2O as our water ceremony this year, we can all tell each other what's going on in our lives and let ourselves and our lives be living water for each other and be a living water community together that supports one another. The rest of this morning's sermon is from you, who will share your stories with each other and support each other and be living water for each other. For out of the people's hearts shall flow rivers of living water.
Hi everyone, I'm Ann Doherty. Harry and I are doing okay during this very strange time. We do see our grandchildren, which is a great blessing, and we've been able to do some outdoor visits with friends. I'm getting a lot more sewing projects done, but I miss seeing everyone at Sunday services and singing. And hugs. I miss hugs. So I hope to see us all together again soon, and I hope everyone else is doing okay. Thanks.
John Cummings, the Mattituck UU Society, says, "At first, my friend Dawn and I in the spring discussed working the garden at Flanders to retain our grounding. A lot of joy comes from that. The clearing of weeds and Dawn giving them a prayer of apology for disturbing them. Seeds planted by hand emerging from the soil. The feel of the earth for me was cleansing and somewhat primal. The harvest and the food bank recipients came into play later, highlighting the purpose. The soil would always be earth and familiar, regardless of the pandemic. Consistency helps in this time of uncertainty. We were doing this alone and only by extension with the community. As we started with the Black Lives Matter movement in Southbury, the diversity of people agreeing on a common cause is a new community, as well as the Woodbury gatherings. This became for me an active prayer. At some level, the gathering to demonstrate suffices for not being in services at our sanctuary. Maybe it's the purpose behind the garden and the movement that's kept me together. They will both cease in a few months as the weather turns cooler and harvest ends. The election will run its course, the Sunday demonstrations will end, and the movement will take on a different energy. I'm not too worried about what will then happen. The board will still have work to do. I will still be working and maybe living in a more permanent home. A new Moose venue needs to be considered, a new normal waiting to be designed. My hope is that the nightmare we're all experiencing comes to a peaceful end. Do I have uncertainties? Yes. Do I have community? Yes. Judith Francis at the Mattituck UU Society says, "I'm doing well, have been clearing out my environment, doing yard work, staying in touch with friends and family to extent possible, and busy with Moose activities, i.e. Communications Committee and Membership Committee, as well as SGM. Now that doctors are seeing people again, I'll be catching up with medical appointments and have resumed exercise group. Oh yes, donated blood 3 times.
Hi everyone, it's Denise here this morning to share with you on my experience with COVID and how things have been going. As I reflect on these last few months, I have to say that in the beginning of all this, when we all went home about mid-March, I think I was feeling pretty nervous, scared, frightened. The idea of the unknown, not knowing much about the virus itself or how things would play out. I'm a teacher. I wasn't sure how I would be able to continue my job online. I wasn't sure what would happen with my teenage son who was home from high school, and my husband who teaches music in another middle and high school in New York State. It was really difficult in the beginning. We were all trying to find ways to work around each other at home and to be together in the household for many more hours than what we were used to, for sure. It took a little bit of an adjustment, and my adult daughter was home at the time too, so all of a sudden we had 4 people to feed 3 times a day, plus snacks, plus stress eating and needing food on hand for that. Lots of chocolate in our house. And I remember feeling sad and out of sorts. And just this sense of, I really don't know what's going to happen. But maybe a sense of mourning in all of that. And I remember maybe around late April, sometime in May, all of a sudden just waking up one day and feeling like, you know what, here I am, feeling uncomfortable, feeling awkward, and the world is continuing to spin around. Every day the sun rises, every day I have to feed my family, I have to get on with my work, and I could either be in this kind of funk for the next however many months this was going to go, or if I really believed what I was sharing with friends and family, that this really could go on for quite a while. I did not want to be in that space for that length of time, and so I decided I needed to just get creative about what we were doing, and if there was something that I missed doing, seeing my friends, visiting with my family, I needed to just find a new way of doing that. And I realized that this pandemic has now given way to some opportunities and experiences that I had never considered taking advantage of before. So for example, my family, my extended family, Nathan's grandparents and cousins, aunts and uncles, we all get together every Friday night at 7:30 p.m. for our own game night. We've done that pretty much since the middle of March. It gives us a chance to check in with each other, to laugh, and to play some games together. And I've often wondered, why did we not do this before this pandemic? My husband and I have found time to go walking in the woods behind our house. We are very appreciative of the fact that there's a trail there that we can go and spend time on. And it's been really nice to be able to go out and spend not just the quick 20 minutes we have to get this in, but to be able to go out at leisure and spend an hour and a half out in the woods together as we're walking, and to invite our son along. So definitely hidden blessings in all of this. I miss everyone. I'm looking forward to when we'll be in a new normal, but in the meantime, I'm learning.
Hi congregations, this is John Seppels here. I've been doing pretty well through a lot of changes in the past 6 months. Most significantly, I purchased my first home and I moved in at the end of May. So I've been keeping myself busy settling in, but I've also been trying to spend as much time outdoors as possible before autumn and winter come along. Mostly I've been hiking and biking, and that helps to keep my spirits up. Sadly, my energy for church activities has really gone down in the past few months, and what I am feeling drawn to right now is my interest in bhakti yoga. So if there is anybody in the congregation, either UUMeriden or at Moose, who would like to get together to share their studies or practices, please get in touch with me. Thanks, and hope to talk to you all soon.
Margaret Morley at Mattatuck UU Society says, I'm doing pretty well. I miss our social gatherings, especially coffee hour and the sense of community. I'm hoping we can do an outdoor service soon. I'm just starting to adjust to retirement, but I've been doing a lot of reading, watching some news shows, organizing the house, and am able to get together with friends once in a while. So glad to be able to fully enjoy the fall.
I have been enjoying myself. I found out that I don't really like going a lot of places unless I'm going on my bike or on a walk. I love being outside. I have been going to one place where I teach yoga, and I've had 5 COVID tests to go there, but I don't see anyone when I'm there. I throw a form at the receptionist, and that's as close as I get to anyone. I've gone away with my brother and sister-in-law, and that was wonderful. And I read Pollyanna, and I really enjoyed that. I've read some other books, but that was my favorite one. I think that's interesting, and I think people don't have a really good view of who she is because of that saying, don't be a Pollyanna. It's not as simple as that. It's a good book to read at this time. I've started a gratitude practice, and that's amazing because of the news and COVID and all this stuff that our society tends to look at the negative. I think it's something about capitalism. Nothing against capitalism, just it makes us look at what we don't have. But oh my gosh, we have so much. Just from here up, I have so much. I could go on sight, hearing, taste, everything's working fine. Maybe something isn't working fine, but it's like one or three things. It's not gigantic, it's not everything. Like I said, the days are getting shorter, and that usually is hard for me, but I don't have to go out into the dark. I just stay home. I go out in the day. I love my garden, and I love riding bikes. I went for a bike ride from Meriden to Simsbury, stayed overnight, and went from Simsbury to Meriden this past weekend. A lot of times in the beginning it was really hard. I found it hard to get in touch with people, and I'm trying to do that more, and it's very worthwhile. And it seems like a lot of people don't do that reaching out. And you might think I'm an extrovert. I found out it's a continuum. We're all on the continuum. I'm not all the way over to the extrovert side. I'm somewhere in the middle, I guess. And so, what else? I got Dunkin' Dog here. I'm teaching my yoga classes on Zoom, and I really enjoy that. I like having all these people here with me, and I don't have to go far. I think that might be all that I'll say, but I hope you're all doing well. I did find out that I'm a people pleaser, and that's a bit freeing for me. I'm trying to think about what I want. So it has made me more introspective being home. And there are ways to be introspective and be good. Because in the past, if I was alone too much, I get in a bad way. So have a good day. At least nice talking to you. I look forward to looking at all the other videos. Bye-bye.
Mary Lander at Mattatuck UU Society says, I've been loving summer and occasional small gatherings. What I need from our congregations is for people to stay in contact, whatever form that takes. Kathy Lindberg at the UUMeriden says, I am not coping well. COVID came just after I rebuilt my life after John's death. Having church helped me stay connected, feel useful, and look forward. I volunteered at a local school, completed training as a hospice volunteer, and became a resident advocate with the state ombudsman program. I helped Steve Volpini at our small group ministry. I felt useful and content, and then it all stopped. My family does not understand my isolation because they were all able to work and keep most activities. My doctor does not think I should go back to nursing homes when they open. With no end in sight, I find I am low on energy and interests are dwindling. I don't know how to rebuild.
Hi, I'm Christine Edelson, and Tony asked how we were doing, and I want to say I'm doing great. I'm healthy, I'm fortunate, and I've been extremely busy all summer with church work and with family and connecting with family on Zoom all over the U.S. and in Israel, where half of our family lives, and it's provided an opportunity to keep in touch with people in a way that we hadn't done so before. And I'm wearing my blue water communion dress and thinking that that's the way we've done it before, but now we're doing something different. And I'm really enjoying the virtual services, and I'm hoping that you are too. And so stay safe, and we'll see you soon.
Here are Steve Volpini and Janet Hiller at the first in-person church gathering since March. We're with 12 others who met in the UU Church in Meriden backyard for a time of conversation and some food in the shade of a tree.
Hello, I'm Ed Edelson, and I appreciate Tony asking how we're doing with COVID-19. It's hard to believe 6 months have gone by. I know in the beginning I thought it was going to be like an extended series of snow days. We were just going to be on hold and we'd do a few puzzles and a few other things to occupy our time. But then it became clear this was going to last a little bit longer. still with a lot of uncertainty, and it was time to get into some sort of a routine. And I think much to my gratefulness to Christine, my wife, who has really created a very stable and secure home situation well, as I say, we've probably spent more consecutive time together over these 6 months, and having a partner throughout this situation has been a real point of security for me and stability. So I really appreciate that. And it is amazing how we have not been doing the things we thought we'd be doing over these 6 months, but we have filled in the time with a lot of other, I think, high quality things, whether it's been working on new skills, especially in the area of video, working on the Black Lives Matter protests that have become very important to us, as well as my part-time work with the Connecticut Sighting Council. So all of these things have kept us very busy, which I think at first we thought we wouldn't have enough to do, but I think we've ended up focusing on things that are more important to us than we might have realized if we were running around traveling from here to there. So I'm not enjoying COVID-19, but I think we have really been able to make the best of the situation, and at the same time realize how fortunate we are. And that's led to this sort of a craziness of, say, at the same time of feeling pretty good in our own, or my own situation, looking out on the world and seeing a world in disarray with so many people suffering. And that's created a little sense of guilt about the security and stability in my life while so many people around us are suffering. So hopefully we can keep those two things in mind as we move forward towards what we believe is going to be a very important election in only or less than 60 days. So I hope all of you are well, and hopefully we'll all make it through this. Thanks.
COVID-19 has been a blessing and a curse for me. The curse part is my daughter's in Ireland. I can't see her. I can't see my grandkids. You know, the blessing is that my business went crazy. I was about to shut down my little farm, and now it's, you know, running like it better than it had without me having to go to farmers markets. So, you know, we've had our struggles. There have been issues like everybody has, but I put it in perspective of that my grandparents lived through 4 pandemics. Nobody asked me to go to war. They told me to stay home and watch Netflix. So from that perspective, I think we can all do it. At least I think I can. So I know it's a different struggle for everybody else, and we all have our own crutches to bear, but we'll get through this is how I feel, and I think overall we're pretty lucky.
Angie Swanger at the UU Church in Meriden says, I am still feeling the loss of my wife who died in July. It is hard to tell what I need from UUCM right now. All I can think of is simple connections that don't need any specific response. Thanks for asking.
Hi, I'm Becky Skinner from Moose. I miss not seeing everyone. It's been a difficult time, but Joe and I are staying healthy and keeping busy, mostly at home. Like I said, I miss not seeing everyone at services and other activities. I'll be glad when we can start meeting in person regularly once again. The hardest part for me during this time has been not being able to see my 2.5-year-old granddaughters as much as I would like. FaceTime is great, but it's not the same. I'd like to thank everyone who has put so much effort into continuing our services and other activities online. I know it takes a lot of effort and coordination, and I really appreciate it, and you've done a great job. Thank you.
Hi all, this is Nancy Burton from UUMeriden. Thank you, Tony, for thinking of this. This is a really nice thing to do. And how am I doing? Well, to be honest, it's kind of hard right now. I'm a social person, and so all this isolation is not something I find easy. For several weeks, my partner Steve has had several health problems and had surgery a couple weeks ago. Surgery went well, which is good. So for several weeks, I was really involved in setting all of that up. I'm a healthcare provider He was having some memory issues, which seem to have been from pernicious anemia, which is getting better now that that's being treated. But I really took over a lot of that stuff for him. Now the surgery's over and he just has rehab to get through, and there's not that much for me to do, which is interesting, an interesting change for me. It's like, okay, now what do I do with myself? I've always been kind of a social activist, and I'm finding it hard to find the energy to do that right now, even though I have the time, but somehow the energy's not there. So all in all, I'd say I find this a hard time. I think the hardest part is not seeing my grandkids. I have a really good relationship with my daughter-in-law, but we do see things differently about social distancing. And so that's been a little bit of a strain. We're getting through it well, but we know we don't see eye to eye on it. And it's limited my time with them, but I'm at a point where I'm going to see them again because I just need to for my own mental health. So I would say it's been hard. I'll be okay because there's not really a reasonable alternative to being okay. And I'm a survivor like most of us, and so I intend to get through it. But this is hitting me at a time where I'm finding it hard. What do I need from the congregation? Seeing people, camaraderie. And this is a really nice way to have been able to do that. Thank you.
Carolyn O'Neill from Atatuck UU Society says, I feel like I have two faces. I'm exhausted, but I remain hopeful. Ann Quackenbus from Matatuck UU Society says, Hi everyone. I've spent a lot of time outdoors, partly with this dog this summer. Good for anxiety. I was relieved to see my kids recently for the first time since March. The hymn singer is my son Noah. I really miss the kids I was tutoring last year and hope to be able to resume at some point. I really miss seeing everyone at Moose, but think we can find ways to keep up the connections and lessen the isolation. I'm both apprehensive and hopeful going into the fall.
I'm the new ministerial intern at Moose. My name is Lynn Grobsky. So how am I doing during this pandemic? I'm actually doing pretty well. I have been focusing on my studies for seminary, and the quarantine actually helped me carve out more time towards that end. I did chaplaincy training this past summer at Bridgeport Hospital, and I was assigned the COVID unit. While I was there, in the beginning, there were about 30 patients with COVID. By the time I left after 11 weeks, we were down to 5. And so I would put on all the protective gear and I would go into their rooms. What I found is that they were very lonely, as you might imagine. No family members were allowed to visit, and they would talk my ear off for a good 45 minutes to an hour. FaceTiming with loved ones just isn't the same. I was grateful to be able to help them. I have no fear of getting COVID because I haven't had so much as a sniffle since leaving elementary school teaching about 8 years ago. So I was happy to help those patients. And I'm grateful to be the ministerial intern here at Moose. What I hope to learn from my internship is how to best serve and hopefully grow the congregation. I want to learn how to effectively support and help people, help you in promoting social justice, in promoting spiritual growth, and in promoting loving community. Thank you.
Richard Goh of UUMeriden says, We're all surviving as best we can. I celebrated my 80th birthday yesterday with a drive-by visit from my daughters and grands. Steve Nahas at the UUMeriden says, I'm doing okay. My son not quite as good as me, but we are a team and managing. My ex and I own a home outside of Portland, Oregon, and she is packed and ready to evacuate when the call comes. I still worry for her safety because I have seen people die in their cars while trying to escape. I'm healthy, exercising at the Y Gym or pool daily. I miss you all and hope to see you soon. Next Sunday, maybe? As the Grateful Dead sing, we will get by, we will survive. Diane Samashik from UUMeriden says, Hi dear friends, I am doing well during these crazy times we are living in. I count my blessings often knowing I am very fortunate. Thinking of all of you and sending big hugs, which I miss giving and receiving from you. Stay safe. Marianne Boyan from Mattatuck UU Society says, I am crazy busy with work as I have been learning a new job. It has not been easy, but I do love the work. I work at a university, so data changes all the time as we navigate through COVID. Who knows what higher ed will look like after this? I am highly, highly anxious about the upcoming election as I feel my country is at risk existentially. My only sister just lost her job of 28 years. My heart goes out to her. I will help and support her in any way I can. I am swimming at the Y in the mornings, and this saves me. The cleaning protocols and social distancing requirements are strong, and it's chlorine water. I am deeply grateful for the Y. Tom, my partner, and I feel very lucky to be employed. When we are not working, we try to do chores around the homestead and catch up on the never-ending task list, but the high winds from storms keep dropping trees on Tom's fences, and as you all know, power outages are annoying. We had no power for a week. Tom has been lucky enough to be doing some very long hikes on weekends with his oldest son. I think that is sacred family time. So that's my check-in. Love you all. E-hugs. Michael Lang from Mattatuck UU Society says, Greetings. Collie and Michael have been hanging in these days. We are blessed to have space for a farm garden. Much of the produce has gone to the Woodbury Food Bank. Being outside, happily occupied, has helped us cope with what we're all going through with COVID. For us, hardest is missing family visits. We have had some nagging health issues, but we are coping. In the picture, Evan Hard stands with Collie and a sample from the garden. Be well, be safe. Miss all of you. In addition, we were saddened by the loss of 2 elderly relatives to COVID. One was my cousin, Alex Nebelstein, who was near and dear to me. The other was Arcady Nebelstein, also a cousin. Hey, it's Reverend Tony, and I think one of the most difficult things for me about COVID, and this is going to seem odd, is my glasses keep fogging up. You notice I'm not wearing them with my mask. And it seems such a petty thing to be upset about, but having to live that way, it gets me annoyed still, and I don't like that. I'm doing pretty well. I haven't been sick. I've been feeling pretty good most of the time. But it's getting to be a lot to just go on and on and on. The isolation and the not being able to see friends and family all the time. Yeah, it's got me down. I've done some good, reveling in the, oh, I can't wait for this to be over. The hardest thing for me emotionally, I think, though, has been being a minister and worrying about everybody else and how everyone else is doing and seeming to lose track of some folks from the churches. So if that's one of you, please let me know. Please talk if I call. Please send me an email. Please let someone know that it's okay to reach out and go chat with you for a while, because I'd love to come do that. Take care. Spirit of life, we gather through the miracle of our technology once again this morning, having shared the stories of our lives with each other, having provided the essence of life, life-giving, living water in the form of our community. As we all come together, we give this to one another, and we're grateful for that. This week, we celebrate the birthdays of Paula Van Ness and Richard Galt, who had their birthdays this week. Richard had a great drive-by from his family as a big birthday card. May we together, all of us as a community, have the stamina to keep up our work, even if that means taking turns with who's got the energy one week and who's got it the next. May we remember that we love each other, and that love will be the thing that helps us remain together as we move through this difficult time. May we wonder and glory in the natural world around us, letting that water ceremony remind us there are places of restoration as close as outside our window when we need them. May we remain in each other's hearts, even though we may not be present to one another in person. Let us reach out all we can to say hello. How are you? Let us remain committed to the values we hold as Unitarian Universalists. And let us stay committed to the vows we make to one another to be family. All this we ask in the name of everything glorious and good.
This time of pandemic has been financially difficult for a lot of people. Some are members of our congregations. Some are members of the communities that our congregations serve in the greater Woodbury and the greater Meriden areas. If you could do so, please give generously by donating online or sending checks to the church. During this time, we need your support more than ever. You make a difference with every dollar you donate. We assist those struggling with financial stress, food insecurity, immigration, and unemployment. Thank you for your generosity. The need is great.
I hope you've enjoyed our trip down to the river today and our different way of approaching the UU water ceremony. As you take leave of us this morning, my friends, I want to make sure to invite you to coffee hour. We have a joint coffee hour, and that information will be on the screen and in our online Facebook and YouTube chats. And as we depart from this service, I remind you that as we put out the chalice flame, the flame never really goes out because we take it with us in our hearts. And as each of us takes that flame with us, it's a reminder that we are the living water of the Spirit. And it is our job and our duty and our honor to be life-giving water and sources of life for each other, holding each other up whenever we're in need. Go in peace, beloveds.
Missing your friends? Interested in maybe making the acquaintance of some new ones? Why not join us for coffee? In the Joint Congregation's virtual coffee hour. It's held in the Moose Zoom room. The address for that Zoom room is on your screen and will be on the chat windows in our Facebook pages. Please join us.
listen for you. Will I listen for you? Oh, and I'll sing my song there as I wait for you, and I'll wash my body, and I'll be renewed. I'm going down to the water today. I'm going down 'cause it's whispering my way, and I don't know if she'll have much to say, but I'll listen for you. Well, I'll listen for you. Oh, and I'll raise my hands up to the setting sun, and I'll close my eyes there till the moon is born. My soul, it longs for you in a dry land where the wells are few. My heart, it beats for you inside dusty bones that cry out for truth. I'm going down to the water today. I'm going down 'cause it's whispering